stick the landing. Go ahead and make an attack roll against the goblin.
All right. That would be more than 20. It's 18 plus the modifier.
Yeah, that hits. That hits. Roll damage.
I just have to change through all of this. So 10.
10. It's a little bit more than you needed. She brings up her hammer, slamming it into the side of the head of the goblin, which is about eye level with her. And it just and then falls onto the ground. Dead. And for the moment, there are no threats. So initiative order has ended for the moment.
All right.
Ended for the moment.
All right, Edrahel, before going and helping, I would like to do a perception check just to see if I can hear anything or hear anything, to see if there are any threats that I could perceive.
Make a perception check. Yep.
13. No, wait, 9. 16.
16. Listening for a moment, you just hear the rustling of trees. You don't hear anything but silence. But one of the things you do notice, with the Uruk dead and a few seconds having passed, some of the darkness in this area begins to lift a bit. And you look around, and it's a little bit easier to see through the courtyard. And beyond that, you can actually see part of the tree line. The trees are as disgusting and twisted and knotted as ever, but the oppressive force of shadow that you were encountering when you first entered this keep seems to be gone. And everyone recovers a point of shadow. You go down one. As for a moment, it actually feels like this area of land has been retaken for the light.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back away from Cyril's body, and I say that bloody witch is still around here somewhere. I'm gonna root her out. You keep track of him. I don't trust this place, and I don't trust that we're done here either. And I proceed to march up the stairs.
Okay.
Still on high alert. You know, my guy's still in very alert mode right now. He's not let his guard down.
Of course. I'll say you're probably going pretty slow and watching carefully. Go ahead and make a perception check with advantage.
Okay. I got a 14.
14. As you are slowly climbing your way up the stairs, at about 20 seconds or so later, you come across a wooden door. You test the knob. It's not locked. This is about 30 feet up. This is probably the room that had the light in it, with the window that overlooked the courtyard. The stairs do continue up beyond that. Would you like to continue up, or do you want to go into the room?
I'm going to turn the knob enough to open it, but then I'm going to kick it the rest of the way open. So I'll go, and then I'll bam, and I'll kick it.
Okay. You open it a little bit, and then you just kind of turn and give it a side kick, cracking the door open with a loud thwack. Everyone else, you hear this from above. As you look inside, you see a bookshelf to your left. You see the window overlooking the courtyard straight ahead. And to your right, you see a desk, the small stool next to it. The desk is about mid-chest height for you. And on the desk, there's a piece of paper that's been folded over, kind of like a Z fold, like it was going to go in an envelope. And you see a quill next to it with a little bit of ink on the tip that has sort of fallen between the quill and the desk and is just kind of like stuck there halfway down the quill, just dripping onto the desk, but it's just sitting there. And you see a small ink pot on the desk as well.
So I go, "You like books, huh?" And as I make my way to the desk, I'm just kind of like swing my hammer at the bookshelf as I'm walking over there, just kind of knocking off a sloth of books as I kind of make my way over there, just kind of smashing the place up as I make my way to the desk.
All right. So you walk towards the desk and you just take out some of your anger on the bookshelf and you just slam it at it with your hammer. You actually like hook the side of the bookshelf, like this area of the bookshelf. And as you do, it breaks away from the two sort of support shelves that are on there. And the whole thing just kind of crumbles onto the ground. And there's books and wood kind of splintered and spilled everywhere. You walk over to the desk. Are you inspecting the paper, or?
I'm not going to touch the paper because I'm not going to get knocked out and lose all my memory. So I ain't doing that. I'm going to see if there's anything else on the desk or any drawers on the desk or anything like that.
Make an investigation check.
Okay.
There is a drawer in the desk. One center one that's about yay wide that you can pull out.
All right. 11. 11. As I
All right. That drawer does appear to be locked. There's nothing else around, on, or near the desk aside from the quill, ink pot, and paper. There's a candle on there, but.
Can I like grab the? So with like the drawer, how is a drawer? Is it just like an overhanging to like a little lip or anything beneath it or anything like that?
Yeah, it's about like 3 inches tall, I guess you could say, right under the center of the desk. It's about 2 feet wide, and it looks like it just pulls out from the top of the desk. The desk itself is just this large slab of oak wood. The legs are just 4 wooden legs that come off of the corners at different angles to keep it balanced. And then the drawer is the only thing that really gives it any depth beyond the actual thickness of the oak itself, which is about 1 inch or so. At which point, about a minute has passed. Everyone else, if any of you would come up, or if you are all just kind of gathering around in the keep below, I just wanted to give you a moment if anyone else is doing anything.
I think I would call.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think I would call to Dalla to try and get her to help me get Cyrel's body outside of the fortress.
Okay. Edrahel?
Wait, sorry. As Dalla?
Sure.
As Dalla, instead of helping, I just start running outside, and I go and actually look for Will and Kona and the other horses to bring them in here.
Okay.
And as Eldakar, I decide to help you, Haley, with that.
I think he means it's Edrahel, but
what did he say?
You said Eldakar.
As Eldakar? As Edrahel?
I mean, you could play my character too if you want. Might as well.
Gabe should just play all the characters.
I asked Dalla because I thought she would be stronger, but sure, if you can help me.
Dang.
Dalla just wants to run away, so it's like, okay.
Yeah,
well.
that makes sense.
So Dalla runs out after Will. She knows where Cyrel and the group left the horses, and Will and Kona. Edrahel, you and Haley are able to, mostly Edrahel, Haley a little bit. Haley, you kind of grab the ankles and you've kind of got like the knee down up off the ground. And Edrahel, you shoulder most of the weight. Takes about a minute or so, and you guys are able to get him down the stairs and out into the courtyard below. Dalla is able to find Will. What does she say to Will?
Oh no. Oh, this isn't gonna end well.
Kona's like, "Oi, Speak up. What's going on? At which point, Kona draws her sword and goes running towards the keep. And Will goes, actually, Cyrell, Derek, what's Will do?
Will hops on Flicker and starts riding towards the keep. Not exactly sure what's going on.
Okay. Will starts charging in towards the keep. Nebuchadnezzar.
So I'm going to hook my hammer underneath the drawer. I'm just going to yank back as hard as I can to try to rip out the drawer from below.
Make an athletics check.
Okay. Oh, dice fell off the desk here. Okay, I got a 15.
15, easy enough. You pry under it, and you kind of get your hammer in between one of the legs in the drawer, and you start to just push using the length of the shaft of the hammer as a leverage point, and you start to hear a creaking of wood, and finally you just kind of put your chest on it, and you bring it down. There's this sickening crack as the drawer breaks free of the lock and slides open, almost falling out onto the ground. You kind of catch it with your hand. Looking inside, the only contents you see are a white stick of wax, like you would use to seal something. You see an envelope made of parchment that doesn't have anything written on it, and there's no contents inside. Rattling around inside, however, there's this small wooden handle, and you pick it up and you look around the other side. You see that it's a seal. So between the candle and the wax and the seal, they would have been able to send this letter. The seal itself is in the shape of an open hand, palm forward, like this. Make a lore check.
I got a 16.
16.
Nice.
You recognize this symbol as being used by the couriers that deliver messages to and from Isengard.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and collect that stuff. From the stuff on the desk, I'm just going to put that in my travel bag. So I'll take the letter, the seal, and the wax.
Okay. You gather those items.
And then I will also take the inkwell, the ink pen, and the sealed envelope, but I'm not going to open it.
What was on the desk?
Yeah.
So that wasn't actually sealed. It was just a letter that had been folded over like it was going to go in the envelope, but it hadn't been put in the envelope yet. It's just a folded letter. You can't read anything because it's folded closed, but it's not actually sealed.
So can I take out the pen really quick, give it a quick ink dabble, right on the desk. Don't forget this, you buffoon. If you get knocked out, remember what you're doing. But I'm not going to say what I'm doing. I'm just going to say that. And then I'm going to flip it over the letter and see what happens. Yeah, so I'm going to turn it over, but I'm going to be very dramatic.
Shring!
Oh! I kind of like go my eyes for a second.
As you look at the writing, it's beautiful.
Ooh.
Beautiful handwriting. Very well written. Long, drawn-out letters. Do you speak Elvish?
I attempt to.
You read through.
I don't know how to do it, but can I make an educated guess with my 10 intelligence? That's very average intelligence, by the way.
It's brief. There is a section that has like a table of numbers, which are written in Western, the common tongue. And so you do recognize there's a table of numbers, almost like an array of data of some kind. And then there's a signature at the bottom. but you're not able to read any of it. Under the signature, there's this sort of wavy line with 2 dots and a line that intersects it. So it's like a wavy line, a slash through it, and a couple dots. That's under the name that signed the letter. That's all you're able to make out.
All right. So, yeah. So once again, I will take the pen, the inkwell, and the paper. And if there's nothing else in this room, I'll probably start to make my way. Or what I'll do is I'll walk back to the door, and I'll say, "Get that elf up here." Speaking to Edrahel, of course. And then as I'm wet, I'm gonna have a hammer in one hand, but I'm gonna have like the parchment in the other hand.
Okay.
I call back to Nebuchadnezzar and ask if he wants help up there.
I say, check these books. Nebuchadnezzar don't have time to read.
Okay.
Yes, I guess Elder Cargo checks the books.
All right. What languages do you speak, Aldecar?
I read and write Sindarin and Western.
All right. So Sindarin is Elvish. So that's good.
Oh, sure.
Western, again, is the common tongue here. So scanning through the books, some of them are Western, some of them are Sindarin. And yet another one is similar to Sindarin. You think it might be some different dialect of Elvish. You're not quite sure. It could be one of the older dialects, but you can't quite make it out. Most of the books have to do with the study of animals and beasts. There's a few books on alchemy. There's also some books on necromancy, very dark magic. You've never actually seen this number of books all related to magical affinities and items and things before, because magic is usually relegated to elves and wizards, and they're not the most common in the world these days. And so seeing a small collection of books all related to magical things is a little off-putting for you. But beasts, nature, there's a whole book on the flora and fauna of the Mirkwood, as well as, like I said, the alchemical books and the necromantic books.
Is there anything that I would think might bring Cyril back to life? Like if I read one of the books.
Make a wisdom check.
Zombie Cyril walking around.
Well, wait, wisdom? I don't think. You said wisdom?
Wisdom. So just roll and add your wisdom modifier.
13, because I get +1.
For a moment, you see one of the 2 books on necromancy, and you're like, probably not.
Zombie.
While there are rumors of magics that could do that, they're very dark and very evil.
Wise enough to not do that.
It's not a good idea. The things that you might awaken in the process are things that you recognize you probably shouldn't meddle with.
So, like, Eldacar kind of reaches for it, and then, like you say, he's kind of like, no.
Nebuchadnezzar, do you ask him to read the letter?
Sure, I'm gonna hand the letter, and then I'm gonna say, figure out what this means. And I'm gonna march up the rest of the stairs as he's doing that.
Okay.
Aldecar, you read over the letter. It takes you a moment. It's not your natural language, but you're able to suss out the meaning. As you read through it, Dear S, the specimen that you provided is beyond expectation. Below, I have listed out some of the information we have gained from a few experiments. I do believe that the persons that you identified and that we should be acquiring soon will provide the most efficient test of this creature's ability. I do believe you are onto something, and I cannot wait to see what comes of it. Yours forever, Eladril. And that's where we're going to end today's session.
No.
All right,
man.
guys.
I don't like it.
All right.
Cyril got the dead.
Got. All right, questions. What is one thing that someone else did that was cool? I really liked how Haley scaled the giant. That was really cool. Visuals
very
there.
cool.
So, and I liked how Hannah was like trying to do different things with Haley. So I thought that was cool. And then I really liked how Eldakar and Nebuchadnezzar were trying to like bring back Cyril. So that was cool. That was a cool natural 20 Eldakar when needed. So.
Yep.
Wasn't enough, but I did my best.
It was pretty great. It was pretty great. That guy, he was right on the cusp of death, and he had his orders, so he did what he could to fulfill them.
Cyril's first turn during combat, when he started like taking charge and commanding the room and also intimidating the Urukai.
And also, when Cyril was also waiting for the action, it's like, okay, well, I'm thinking about like if he's gonna attack somewhere else, I'm gonna be ready there. And also when he was like, okay, well, I have my shield and I'm gonna protect the person to the side of me and things like that. That was pretty cool. I like that.
Yep, and I liked how Gabe did the finishing move. I thought I was gonna play a ramp there, shot him, then ran all the way back down. I'm like, I have a minute. He's like, I was like, a little extra work, but it works. You know,
It was worth it. Yeah,
Wasn't sure how much
I agree. I like
penalty
how Edrahel picked up the sword and finished him with Cyril's sword.
And his song was on point too.
That was a great song.
I like the song.
Any Friends fans in here?
There will be.
I remember. I inspire you. It's pretty cool. And actually, that helped for the finishing blow. Without it wouldn't have happened.
It would have missed, and it hit because of that. So that was actually really clutch.
Yeah.
Any other positive things?
Um,
All right, challenges. Or some challenges that
I will say a positive thing is, and I know it was, no pun intended, a little overshadowed with what happened during the battle, but again, you guys did notice that the actual oppressive force of the shadow started to lessen in this area. And so there were like material, physical consequences of defeating this creature, positive ones. So there's something to hold on to there. I'd say challenges, first thing I would pop off is a few of those like first turns, there were a lot of natural ones in combat.
Oh yeah.
That was rough.
I rolled like 3 nat 1s today, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, for Haley, as soon as Cyril went down, her thought was, okay, I have to try and get him to hit me instead. Because Haley, she's tiny, but and she doesn't have much hit points, but her AC is 18. That mithril armor and being nimble. And so she thought for sure that like running up, like climbing up him and stuff would anger him enough, and like running around his ankle would anger him enough, but she never got hit. And because he was more intelligent than she thought, and what really frustrates her was she was trying to distract him from hitting Cyril And as a result of her actions being on the shoulders, she got thrown onto Cyrell, which made the situation worse. So she feels pretty guilty about that.
Okay. I would say another. Oh.
I think. Oh yeah, you can go first. I'll you go first.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about like the same thing that you said. It's like, well, even the actions that Edrahel took to attack this thing were causing more harm to Cyrell. Like just attacking him was like, okay, well now there's a reaction. And the reaction is attacking me. Like, oh well, these are the actions that I was taking to avoid that situation. Just like try to take the attention of that. That was hard. And then the other point, the one that I wanted to make was more about like playing as Dalla. Because it's like that was really hard. And not because of the role playing part, but more about like putting yourself into another person's shoes, and even looking at her character sheet. It's like maybe you have all the information, but you have no idea how the other person would react, what the other person would do, what are the little things that the other person knows that you don't. So it's like trying to act as another person when you are not that person. It's just quite interesting to put another skin on.
I think there's a lot of life lessons there too.
Yeah, I think that obviously when Cyrell went down, I think it was, there wasn't any time to mourn. So sometimes, when you take the hit, you just got to keep on going with it, to bring this back to the Bible and whatever, when John the Baptist gets killed in jail, imprisoned, Jesus goes out to pray, but then he sees a massive crowd following him. And he kind of stops his alone time to actually go and to minister to them and to feed, I'm pretty sure that leads to the feeding of the 3,000 and feeding the 5,000, one or the other. But it goes to show it's like there's times when you may not always have a chance to mourn or reflect. You just got to keep on, there will be a time for it, but at that time it was not. So.
What would you say Cyrell's biggest challenge was?
I think more just as a player, it's difficult with games like this when your character goes down. Like there's nothing else you can do. So yeah. I think that's always a challenge. So definitely.
Well, I will say this. I mean, when you were using your flaming sword, you were getting some good hits off. You were just it was not like you were just like dropped for no reason. Like you actually were doing some pretty good hits.
You were the biggest threat for sure.
Yeah.
Any other challenges?
Losing a character.
Yeah, I will say as the DM, it's there's always that moment of, is there any way I can not kill this character when it comes? And there's always that, but what if he doesn't do this? And it's hard because every time you have to make that decision, like, is this entity going to follow through? Is that true to their character, right? Every player is trying to make decisions that are true to the way their character would act. And as the DM, you might have 10 characters in a session that you have to, what would they do in this moment? That you're always trying to think through. And it's not the first time that I've had to kill a character. It never doesn't suck.
And Haley is really not happy about the fact that, apart from the fact that Cyrell is dead, she's not happy about the fact that we now have to bury Cyrell in such a dark place, like with so much shadow, because there's only so far we can take him before body starts rotting and stuff. So she's gonna try and do what she can to make it honorable, but it still sucks that it's such a dark area.
All right, and then last thing, how can we apply this to real life? I think for
Losing a
Cyrell,
mate is hard.
I think for Cyrell, or for me, whatever. There was I was down to 8 points. I knew that things could not go well, and so I was debating if I wanted to like disengage there. But and sometimes in life, there's times where you need to know your limits and back off. But in that moment, there was a lot of potential damage that Cyrell could do, and we're facing a big guy, so I wanted to stay in there in the fight. And so I think sometimes you got to try to do what you can to do what's right and help others, and no matter what kind of falls afterwards.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think we learned it's just kind of like I think we taught us a lot, but just like the teamwork, keeping the flanking going, keeping, not just running off and do your own thing. Like, remember, like, this is the target. We got everyone got to play their part until it's dealt with. So it's just kind of like working as a team, because even though, like, for example, Nebuchadnezzar was not doing much of a hurt into this guy, my positioning I knew needed to be there. So even from the start of the fight, the reason why I ran to the back of the room was either if he went to me or I went to him, either way, we would get the flanking bonus. So I was like, my goal in this fight is to flank and then to hopefully tank. But I was unable to tank anything because he didn't see me as a threat. So, but I think just like looking at the teamwork and saying, hey, we got to stick as a team. We got to remember that even if her role is not the most glamorous role, it still is a needed role to have. So,
yeah. Well, I think you make a great point there too. That flanking was really clutch because that advantage was really, really good. You guys actually never hit it, so you didn't find out. But his AC was 16. It wasn't low. But I think a lot of it, because of the advantage, we had a lot of rolls north of 20 because you're just more likely to hit. And so the flanking definitely helped out a lot. And I mean, Cyrell did like – in 2 turns, he did like a third of his health and damage. He had just over 100 hit points, and Cyrell was doing like 16 points of damage, 18 points of damage. And that was because of the flanking bonus and being able to hit and everything. And so I agree with that. And I also think that one of the things that is useful is also when there's loss, like everyone's going to react differently, and to be okay with that and to understand that people are going to react differently. Like Nebuchadnezzar immediately wanted to continue on and do something useful. Dalla wanted to approach the closest person to Cyrell that she knew, right? Haley was immediately concerned with how do we honor this person? And all of those are valid responses. And so in real life, when loss happens, there's a grieving process that is going to look different for everybody. And being sensitive to that and being able to show people grace when they're going through that is important.
Cool. Any other thoughts or ways we can apply this?
I think even in just something not as like serious as loss like that.
Please.
When well, like I just think about Derek's position where we're all playing this game. We've all invested time into building our characters, and he just lost that character, and just the maturity in having to move on with the game, not feeling like you can't really do anything, but just like accepting the fact that this sucks, but it's not gonna. I mean, I may be wrong. You may throw a temper tantrum here in a second, but I mean, just the maturity.
I'll get an earful after the recording goes off.
Yeah. But like,
I won't.
It's cool to see just like how oftentimes we get a little too invested in these kinds of games, and they're fun and we can learn, as we just talked about, things for important life lessons from them, but diving too head deep and getting too upset about situations like this is unhealthy. Yes.
Any other thoughts? All right. Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for playing. Thank you for watching. Hashtag RIP Cyrell.
His next character is going to be named Malk, like Malcolm, and be like Cyrell and Malk, cereal and milk.
And on that note, we will see you next week. Thank you guys. Have a good one.